Okay, let's kick off. So, welcome everyone for the webinar TactileView version 3, the big makeover, bigger impact, and Monarch ready. So, TactileView version 3 is HumanWare's first update and introduction to a tactile graphics software. After acquiring the software in July last year, we've made some big changes, and today we're going to go through some of those changes with you. And of course, at the end, there'll be some time for some questions and answers. In this session, we will take you through some of the following points. So we'll first of all go have a quick overview of TactileView and some of the changes that we've made. We'll have a look at creating some tactile graphics for dynamic displays such as Monarch, and we'll look at the using filters and inserting graphics into Duxbury. And at the end, there'll be the questions and answers. A lot of this webinar is going to be live demonstrations. So this is the only two slides that I have, the introduction slide and the learn objective slide. So the rest is now going to be sharing my screen with TactileView. And I will also attempt to include JAWS, as I know there are some users amongst us that are visually impaired. So I want to make sure that what I'm showing is accessible and you can grab information from the screen reader. So let's kick off. Let's change the screen sharing to my TactileView.
Backspace. Share layouts and options are shown. Screens. Application window. TactileView -left. Entire screen sharing options list box. Zoom webinar meeting tools. Share Alt+S button.
Okay. So, firstly, TactileView version 3 had a bigger makeover. It was really to do with branding it as a HumanWare software. So, prior to HumanWare's kind of takeover with the TactileView, it was in the hands of Thinkable, and the colors and logos associated with TactileView was yellow with a black kind of T. For tactile. So we have made some changes in the branding to make it more HumanWare branding colors. So we do have the kind of a T, which is black and orange with white background as well. So it's kind of the HumanWare branding colors. But most importantly, what we have changed inside is, of course, the icons. One of the biggest points feedback that was made from previous versions of TactileView was it could be very overwhelming. So when you open TactileView, there's lots of icons. So we have minimized these icons. We try to tidy up the icons. We try to modernize the icons as best we can. And we'll go through some of these points now. Actually, we'll go through the toolbars and some of the tools that can be used really quickly before going into creating some graphics for Monarch itself. So I'm going to start at the very top now. All of these icons are accessible through the menu, through the menus. It is menu driven, so at any point you can use your Alt key to go through the various
screen
different
share. Press F.
options.
Tactile menu bar, document window to navigate. File F.
Go through the various different options as file, print,
design, edit,
edits, and of course drawing tools. So it's a very menu driven application, so it is accessible for a screen reader user. But in the toolbar section itself, the first icon we have is a new page. So very much like you have with Microsoft Word documents, when you want to create a new tactile graphic, you can simply hit the new document option, and that will just create a tab, a new tab. It's very much like your internet pages. So you can have multiple tabs
menu bar,
open.
TactileView 1, TactileView 2.
So there you have TactileView 1 and TactileView 2. So I can switch between two different graphics, and in fact I can probably work with 5 or 10. So it's entirely up to you how you work with your TactileView. You can work with multiple graphics at the same time. We've also next to that is the undo and redo button, and don't underestimate the undo. So we'll make a big thing about the undo because prior to version 3 the undo feature wasn't that great. It wouldn't always allow you to undo multiple stages. So let's say you created your graphic and you made several changes from adding some or making some filter changes, adding some textures. It wouldn't always allow you to go back each stage. So what the undo feature that we've made now in the previous is you can undo multiple times. And that's really important when you're creating your graphics because there's nothing worse where you've got it to a point where you're pretty much happy. You then try to tidy up a few things and then it all goes wrong. So then the next thing you want to do is try and undo those different stages. So the undo option has had a really big makeover as well. Next to that undo is the redo, of course. And then next to that is the delete key. So any objects, items that you select on your canvas on TactileView, you'll then be able to delete. We've now introduced Monarch mode. So there is a logo, an icon, a picture of a Monarch butterfly. And in the Monarch mode, we'll go into a bit more detail later, but this will allow you to create digital graphics now for Monarch, allowing you to save files as PDF. And this is kind of what I see as phase one, really creating graphics for dynamic displays because that hasn't yet been done. Prior to the Monarch mode, a lot of all the graphics that are being opened on dynamic displays has all been through just general PDF files that have been used to for embossers or for swell papers. So with the Monarch mode, this will take you through a bit more detail on Monarch and how that makes a difference. A new icon that was also a new feature that we've introduced is Braille after ink. Now, what Braille after ink is, it will allow you to print over any Braille tactile graphics that you've done, providing you've got cut sheet paper. So something like the Index Everest embosser, for example, that would allow you to use cut sheet paper. So what you could do is you could first of all do the ink print of the tactile graphic. You then put it into the embosser, and then you can emboss over the top of the ink. So that will allow you then to have one document that has ink, allowing someone who's sighted to see the text, and of course the graphics if need be. But you have various different options there too. So this really is another powerful feature that we've introduced in version 3. Next to that, we do have print setup. So this will allow you to set up your printers. We've introduced in the printer options to install the drivers. So if you're interested in installing a Everest or a Juliet, there is a link available to you to download the drivers from the software itself. So no longer do you need to go and find them from the manufacturer's website. There should be a link that will take you straight there to download those drivers. We then have the print icon. We have a print preview icon. Next to the print preview icon, we have the catalog option. So we still have that catalog, which showcases over 3,500 tactile graphics. And these tactile graphics are graphics that TactileView users have shared. So when you create graphics, you can save them to the catalog. Of course, they do get evaluated before they get accepted. Nevertheless, you can share your graphics to the catalog. So there's over 3,500 graphics for you to choose from. Next to the catalog, we do have the composed maps. So if you do creating tactile graphic maps, maybe for O&M classes, etc., composing the map is a great option. It allows you to choose country, town, village. You can show various different data points on that graphic as well. We then have the About TactileView. So if you want to find out what your license number is, this is the place to go, About TactileView. So version 3 is an upgrade software. So those that are on version 2, version 2.2 or 2.5, to upgrade to version 3, we will require the SPC number. That's the license number. So as I go into the About TactileView,
About TactileView dialog,
there'll be an option for software product code, and it will be about 9 digits long. And that's the number that we need in order to be able to upgrade you. Speaking of the upgrade, it doesn't matter if you are 2 or 3 versions behind, there will only be the one upgrade price. So if you are on version 2.2 and you want to upgrade to version 3, it will still be the same price. So you don't have to pay 2 lots of upgrade prices, just for your information.
TactileView 2 from Svetlana.
Okay, next then we do have an alignment frame option. This icon will allow you to show what you would like your
height frame and grid
frame to look like. So you want to maybe include the measurement grid. You may want to see the Braille grid.
Measurement grid, M.
I quite like the
Leaving
measurement grid.
menus, TactileView 2.
That really is very helpful just to see in terms of the layout of the page where things will be positioned. And that's a really good point for when we look at the menu-driven options. So when we start inserting objects, you kind of need to have an understanding of your page. You need to understand where things are positioned. So I always like to have my grid set to measurements. We have then zoom out buttons and zoom in buttons. This is if you want to zoom in further into the actual tactile canvas. Things can be quite small on the page. Another option to zoom to the full page view. And then next to that icon, we then have the design mode option. So there's two different design modes, and this is really great. This is a really useful tool. So at the moment, design mode line view. If you like to create all of your graphics kind of looking into a line view, this is a mode to be on. But if you want to see how it's embossed or how it will look like on a Monarch, this is where you would switch that design mode into the dot view. And it's a great way of seeing exactly how your graphic will be embossed or will appear on the Monarch without having to emboss it or without having to have a Monarch in itself. So as an example, I'm just going to draw a square in my canvas here. Now I'm in line view, so I'm seeing the solid lines. But as I go to the design mode dot view now, what I'm showing is the exact resolution of the embosser that I have set up to. So I've set up to the Juliet 120. And so as I'm seeing a lot of dots, this is exactly how it will emboss using the resolution. That will change depending on the embosser that you've selected through the print setup dialog. Next to those design modes, we have our Braille tables, and there has been some changes there. So as I click on my Braille table options, what we'll have is an option to select different Braille tables.
Braille table dialog, left parent warning message, normally empty, right.
So we've made some changes here. Again, due to feedback, a lot of the changes were made because when you look at the previous versions, the Braille tables were shown as EN, UEBG2. In some cases, some people understood that, but in most cases, people did not understand what EN, UEBG2 meant versus EN, UEBG1 meant. So we try to make it a bit more friendly interface. So we first have an option of the language choice. So as I chose in English, I then have various
Select
options
the
under my
libellous table, Braille table name list box. English 6 dot computer Braille is used in the U.S. N -S
So that now it's going to display all of my English Braille tables as I go down the list. And the one that I like to use is the Unified
English Contracted Braille N-UEB-G2, 10 of 15.
So we've tried to make that a bit more easy to understand, shall we say. So there's been some changes there. I'm just going to OK that.
TactileView 2.
And the last icon that's on the top is the toggle right up marker. Now, this is the marker that on the top right of your display, it will emboss 3 horizontal lines. And that's is used to understand the orientation of the page. And that's just a toggle option. So as you press that, that will just toggle it off, toggle it back on again. So that first kind of toolbar, we have completely stripped down a lot of things. If you don't see the icons that you used to see, certainly in the toolbars to the left that has all the kind of the place marker tools, don't worry. They will still be there, but they'll be accessible through the menu items. So the idea is that we wanted to kind of remove a lot of icons that maybe were not used, such as the Braille Mammoth. There was a Braille Mammoth option icon. So again, we removed that, but you can still do that. Don't worry. If you want to use that, you can use that through the drawing tools. That's still available. Just let's have a look at one of the changes about the Monarch. Let's go back to the Monarch mode, shall we? So as I go into Monarch mode, and the screen reader should kick in here as well.
Monarch mode settings dialog. OK button to activate. Press space. Monarch mode active checkbox not checked. To check, press.
Okay, so the first icon or item that you'll have is a checkbox, which is Monarch mode active. So to obviously activate that, we need to check that
Space
option.
checked.
And once that's checked, that will give you some more options to choose from.
Initial document size combo box. Monarch. Export to PDF settings. Export large document as multiple pages. Radio button checked. 1 of 2 to change the selection.
So we have two options: export into PDF settings. So how do you want to export your tactile graphic for Monarch? There are two options. We have export document always as one page and export large document as multiple pages. And let me just explain those to you. So the export document always as one page. This will just give you one big, massive document. Keep in mind, dynamic displays such as Monarch are not limited to page boundaries. We can display one big, large graphic as one page if we want to. So if you want to show, for example, the periodic table, I would personally choose the export document always as one page because this would be a really large tactile graphic. So instead of having to sellotape them all together, all the pages, I'll just have one big, massive page. If, however, traditionally graphics have been used by multiple pages. So perhaps you may want to have one page where your keys are, and your second page would be where your tactile graphic is. You can still do that. So in that case, you'll choose export large document as multiple pages. The next option you will also have that is
Monarch
paper
page
size.
combo box. Monarch screen 15 of 15 to change the.
So this is a drop-down list on the paper size. So we have introduced Monarch screen, but as I choose the
Monarch
drop-down
screen.
list, there are various different options. You have your letter size, you have 11.5, 12 by 12 inches, 11 by 11, 8 by 11, and of course Monarch screen, which is a new one that we've introduced. Monarch screen is really useful if you, let's say you haven't got a Monarch, or maybe you have got a Monarch, but you want to see how the tactile graphic will be seen from the Monarch itself. So yes, you have the dot view, you'll be able to see the resolution, but there's the window. Now keep in mind the Monarch kind of window is relatively small versus the standard 11 by 12 inches paper. So this would really kind of get you to understand how the user will see that particular image. So will the user need to pan up a few times, or will it fit in that main window? So I'll have an example to show, but that's the purpose of the Monarch screen, is to really show you how the user is going to interact with that particular tactile graphic.
Letter 1 of 15, A4, 5 of 15, 8x13, page size combo box, Monarchs.
So I will keep it as Monarch screen for this instance, this demonstration, and I'm going to press the OK.
TactileView 2.
Okay, so now what I'm showing on my screen is the canvas. I still have the square box by the way that I created. But what you'll find, those that are able to see my screen, is loads of red kind of rectangles. I'm going to change the
Context
design
menu, the menu
to
bar, the
landscape,
leaving menu bar.
which will of course fit the landscape of the Monarch, because when we look at the Monarch, it's rather than a square, it's more of a rectangle box as opposed to a square. So I'm now showing multiple rectangle boxes. Now at this point, remember, I've got my setting to Monarch with one big page. So this is just purely a guide. The kind of the red boxes is just there to tell you how the user is going to interact. To better show you this, I'm going to open
Context menu, file menu to navigate, press upper menu bar to navigate, leaving menu bar.
One that I prepared earlier.
Open dialog. Explore. Tactile view dash left bracket, tactile view to right bracket. To move to an item, press the arrow keys. Tactile view dash left bracket, tactile view to right bracket, left parent not responding, right parent. Monarch. Okay, letter 1 of 50. Monarch script. OK button to activate. Press space bar. Monarch demo.
Okay, so I've just opened up a demonstration file that I've just created. I've got a dolphin, I've got a car, I've got a butterfly, and I've got a large dog. And this is divided into various different sections. So I've got the Monarch screen kind of showing that this is how a user would see the tactile graphic on the Monarch. So I've got 6 boxes, 6 kind of rectangles. On the top left, I've got the dolphin that fits into the window. I've also on the second, further down the second window, I've got a car that fits again into the window. And on the third, at the very bottom left, is the butterfly, which again fits fully into the kind of the Monarch screen window. But on the right side of my tactile graphic, I've got a larger dog. And this dog actually overlays probably all three screens. So as I go into my dot view, as I mentioned, the dot view is fantastic because I'm able to see what this graphic will look like on the Monarch because it will keep the resolution of the Monarch. So what I'm seeing now is the dot view of the graphics. Now keep in mind, the bigger the image, the better resolution you get. The smaller the image, the resolution becomes quite poor. So if I was to change this dog that I have to try and fit in the smaller window, it then becomes very difficult to identify what it actually is. You know, it just becomes loads of random dots. So that's really important to keep in mind, is that the smaller the image, the resolution becomes a challenge. So if you can fit certain graphics in the window, fantastic, because that will allow a Monarch user to get the full image in that window. But not a problem if it's not. Like the dog, if the dog is a bigger image, you can pan up and pan down using those panning keys on the Monarch itself. So it's just a really useful tool. The Monarch screen is just there to help you understand how it could be interacted from the user. And it may not be great. I mean, the dolphin that I'm showing is not exactly the greatest tactile graphic of a dolphin. So you may then want to change that and make that larger over various different screens. So that means that the user will have to pan around the actual graphic itself on the Monarch. Once you have created your graphic, it's then a matter of saving it as a PDF. So you could do this from the Alt and
Menu
P.
bar, P context menu, print setup, on a
So in the print menu, there's the option to print to PDF.
Print to PDF, left parent for Monarch, right parent.
And that will just purely create you a PDF file. And that will then take you to the file management, allowing you to save that file wherever you want to. And then you can grab that file and open it onto the Monarch. Or better still, you can send it on an email. As the Monarch is email supported, you can send it to your students, and then they'll be able to receive it and open up that PDF. So it's a really quick way of creating graphics, sending it to the student or user quite quickly. You can also explore. So this TactileView is accessible. You can create graphics using a screen reader, and then instead of having to emboss it, you can just put it to the Monarch and validate how that graphic looks like. And then, of course, you may need to make some changes. It's not a live feed, of course. It's not in real time. That's something we would like to achieve kind of in phase 2. But our first kind of objective was to ensure that we could create tactile graphics for Monarch in itself. And this TactileView version 3 will allow you to do that. So that's introduction to the Monarch mode. It's relatively quite simple. I will go through to the next learning objective, which is, of course, using filters. And this could also apply with creating graphics for Monarch or embossers. It's just how we use those filters. And then after that, we'll insert this graphic into Duxbury. So let me create a new
Monarch, leaving menu bar. TactileView 3.
I'm going to disable Monarch mode for this demonstration.
Monarch mode settings dialog. Monarch mode active check. OK button to activate. Press space bar. TactileView 3.
Okay, and so now I'm back on using my embosser setting, which is set to the Juliet 120. And if you want to know how to set that up, if we go to the print options
print menu to navigate, press up or down arrow, print setup,
and then your print
leaving
setup.
menus.
In your print setup dialog, just like any printer, when you go to print, it's a drop-down option. You select the embosser that you want.
Romeo.
Mine actually is in fact set to Romeo 60, not a Juliet 120, but nevertheless, I've got the Index Everest installed. You don't necessarily need to be connected as well. So if you've got the drivers, you can install the embossers. Once you've installed the driver of that particular embosser, it should be part of the drop-down list. And from then, it will remember the
Print setup
resolution.
dialog.
So there you can get the size of the paper, source of the paper, etc.
TactileView 3.
Okay, so creating some graphics and using the filters. Before doing that, I just want to point out one of the real simple yet powerful features of TactileView. It's the text labeling. The text label is a really important function when it comes to tactile graphics. It's all good showing line graphs and line images, but without any context or labels, it really becomes very difficult for the user to understand what that graphic is. So adding labels is a very important part of creating tactile graphics, and TactileView does it really well in comparison to any other software out there, such as Microsoft Word or even Corel Draw, for that matter, because it has onboard Braille translation. So no longer do you need to find out what the Unicode is or how do I change this into grade 2. You don't need to be a Braille transcriber to actually use TactileView and label your graphics. So as I hit my add text labels, there's various different options that you can choose from the text. You can use a text option using a QWERTY keyboard. For those that are real hardcore Braille transcribers, you may want to use the Braille keyboard input. So this is where you'd use your SDF, JKL, and whatever you type is whatever you get. The real use case for that would be if someone, maybe a student, is in between grades of Braille. So maybe they're sort of at 1.5 level. And so you know that they understand certain contractions, but other contractions they don't know yet. So you may want to just put those into grade 1. So that's kind of one particular use case if you want to use the Braille keyboard. The other option is, of course, math input. Again, TactileView is fantastic for inserting math equations, tactile graphs, bar charts, pie charts, you name it. It's a really simple way of creating graphics, quite easy. And in fact, we'll probably touch base on some of those functions in a minute. But beforehand, let's actually insert an image. So again, a couple of ways to insert an image and use these filters. So there's an icon on the left-hand side to import, or you can use the icons on the top. So you could use File.
Menu bar, print, context menu, file menu. To navigate, press up or down arrow. New control plus N, open dot dot.
Import image from File.
Leaving menus, TactileView 3. Open left parent, import image from file right parent.
Okay, and that will then just open up your file menu dialog, and you then choose the file that you want. It's compatible with JPEG, JPGs, bitmaps, PNGs. You can also bring in SVGs. So if there is any, I guess, Corel drawings, I know that you can export those as SVGs. You can open up those particular file types, but predominantly you'll be working with JPEGs and bitmaps. They're the most popular image file types that are around today. I'm going to quickly just show you one image that I'm going to open, which is my rocket.
Folder view, list view, rocket.png, 10 of 12. To move the items, use the TactileView 3.
Okay, so as I imported this rocket, it is quite large, so I'm going to just make that smaller, scale that as small as possible to fit within my canvas. Now, this particular image is a simple image. It's a simple image of a rocket that's got some flares at the bottom, has one window, not much noise at all, really. So in terms of simplicity, this is a really simple way of creating a graphic. But having a look at the dot view here, I'll look at the dot view. Again, we can see how this is going to appear. It's not a bad tactile graphic, but not great. So the outlines or the lines are very thick. Perhaps I may want to change that to make it a bit more clearer. So a quick way of doing this is using one particular filter, which is convert to line drawing. And again, it's all menu driven, so you can
Context
go to filters.
Menu, filters menu. To navigate, press up or down arrow. Information dot dot dot.
Convert to line
leaving
drawing.
Menu bar. Filter preview, convert to line drawing dialog.
So this will bring up a new dialog, which then will allow you to change the threshold. So there is a a button that will allow you to increase and decrease the threshold sliding
Filter
bar.
22 per
So as I slide it further
15%.
down, it becomes a bit more
19%.
clearer. I'll then press the OK option, and then that will
TactileView 3.
translate quickly into a better line graphic. So now the flames, for example, rather than being a lot of Braille dots and kind of cluttered, it's kind of just giving you the actual outline of the actual flames instead. So it becomes a better tactile graphic just by using that convert to line drawing. Of course, this is a simple image, and there may be more complex images, which in fact I will show you next using a more complex image. But just showing the power of that convert line drawing is a really useful tool. So let me quickly create a new graphic. I'll do the same again. I will bring in another image, but this
Open
time
left parent import image from.
Let's choose a different one. Let's choose the traditional one that I always like to use is the dolphin one here that I have. So it's a dolphin that's jumping out of the sea. So it's got two different shades of kind of blue. You've got the blue sky, and then you've got the blue sea, and then the dolphins jumping out. So this becomes quite a challenging for any kind of software to try and capture the dolphin itself. So I'm going to select the dolphin. View.
Open button to activate. Press TactileView 4. TactileView 4.
And I'm going to enlarge my size of the dolphin. Okay, so for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight into dot view just to see how this looks. So in dot view, again, it's very, very messy. It's captured the sea. There's loads of dots on the sea. It's captured the dolphin. You could work out the shape of a dolphin, but again, it's very, very thick. It's not a great graphic. So I definitely would not want to send this to the Monarch or an embosser itself. So there needs to be some filters that needs to be applied. So I'm going to work back in, and you can, by the way, work in dot view. You don't necessarily need to work in line view, but I do like to work line view, and then every so often I'll go back to dot view to check on how it will appear. So straight away, I'm going to use my filter.
Context menu, film leaving menu bar, TactileView 4, filter preview : convert to line draw.
So again, it brings up my filter preview dialog where it's got my sliding bar. I'm just going to start changing that threshold.
13%.
As I slide it down,
8%, 7%, 5%, 3%.
I'm starting to get more of the image in. So the further I go down, the more cluttered it becomes.
1%.
So it's about choosing the right level.
5%,
so 4%. I'll choose about 4% threshold here. Now it's still a bit cluttered, but we'll have to do some other changes or other sort of markups to make that a bit better. I'm going to press OK.
TactileView 4.
So again, it's just literally change it to a line graphic. If I go to my dot view now, again, it's still a little bit cluttered. There's still a lot of random dots there. It's got the border. So I'm going to make some changes. I'm going to use the eraser tool. So great for retouching. This eraser, you can just press the letter E. You'll then be able to select the size of your kind of eraser. If you want it larger,
TactileView dash left bracket, TactileView 4 right bracket.
So I'm just going to use my eraser tool
TactileView.
and remove a lot of these border lines, random dots, and just to touch it up quickly. Again, I'm not going to spend too much time on here. I mean, you could go and spend a bit more time if you want to really get it perfect, but nevertheless, I'll just change I can make it, let's go zoom it in a bit more.
TactileView dash left 4%.
There's some of these. And again, if you go over some of the lines,
4.
You can touch it up again. So there is a pencil that you will be able to use. So for example, the actual tail of the dolphin doesn't look that great. So I'm actually going to do it myself. I'm going to draw it myself using the drawing tool, so the add in lines tool. And I'm just going to attempt to do the tail myself a bit like that. I mean, but anyway, I'm no artist, but in any case, you've got the tools here to create some simple tactile graphics using those filters. There's many other filters that are applicable. Menu. You could choose change the line thickness.
Filters menu separate.
That can become you could probably use that in certain places where those lines are not being captured, mainly outline. So you could convert to a line drawing and then change the line thickness to increase the intensity. You've got convert to black and white. You've got the negative side of things, and you've got add contour. So there's a lot of filters, but the main filter that I would recommend and does 90% of the work, to be honest, is
Convert
the
to black
convert
and white. T.
to
Convert to
line
line
drawing.
drawing. L.
That is the option that you want. So now that
Filter.
I've got my
Leaving
dolphin,
context menu to navigate.
um,
Leaving menus.
perhaps I then want to include some labels, so I can add a text label. Maybe add the text label at the top just to say fin. So I click anywhere, I'll do fin. And again, it will automatically translate. So those that I see in the screen, my IN sign has been inserted. But as I zoom in on the text, we do have FIN. So there is green text on the back of the Braille dots. And that green text isn't printable. It's not fixed. It's just there for sighted peers to see what actually does the Braille represent. And the power of the text labels is great because I can select this, I can move it around, I can go into it, make some changes. Whereas if you're using Microsoft Word, for example, it can become a bit of a pain to A, get the translation right, and of course B, to move that around in a good position of where you want it. So then when you're ready, if we wanted to insert this particular graphic into Duxbury, first of all, we need to save it. So we can go
menu, file, leaving menu bar, TactileView 4, title dot.
We'll call this a title.
Title colon S-D-O-F-E-H-N.
Dolphin. And if you want to save it to the catalog, there is a radio button here. There's a radio button to say save and add to the catalog. Or you've got the option as save document details.
Save document details radio button checked. One of two. To change the selection, press up or down arrow. Alt plus. TactileView 4.
Place that in my desktop for now.
Save as dialog. Navigation pane preview. Start of quick access dash desk.
And this will be a BPX file. So any files that you save in TactileView will be a BPX file. It's a proprietary file type that will only open in either TactileView or, of course, Duxbury. So I'm going to save this into my desktop.
Dialog.
That's now
Save
saved.
Button to activate.
And to insert that now into Duxbury, as we go into Duxbury, a key point here, it's really important that your embosser setup for
JAWS hotkeys and
Duxbury,
DBT press insert workspace
so
untitled
Duxbury
print document
and TactileView is matched. So make sure that your embosser settings are exactly the same. So your paper size. So make sure whatever you've got set for TactileView is the same you've got in Duxbury. Otherwise, Duxbury will reject it. It will say that the file is too big and can't be fitted or something like that. So that's really important to ensure that you've got those settings correct. So in Duxbury itself, we can go to layout.
Context menu, layout menu to navigate. Press up or down arrow. Apply style.
Then go to picture.
Footer F. Generate table of contents unavailable. B.
And we can then go to
A. Add leaving menus.
That will open up the file manager dialog, and I'll choose the picture. So it will be looking
name,
at
edit combo, type in text,
files.
Alt+N, select picture file dialog, file name edit combo. To set the value, use the arrow keys or type the value, Alt+N, computer Braille, file name edit combo.
And that then should insert into my Duxbury Braille files, providing I've got the actual correct sizes of my embosser, which I should, unless I've made some changes the last minute I'm not aware of. But at the moment, it's still thinking. My computer is trying to work hard with with JAWS running in the background and Duxbury and TactileView and of course Zoom. So it's trying to process it, and at the moment it's saying not responding, but eventually that should clear and should be inserted just for the demonstration purpose. Come on, please work for me. It always happens when you're doing a demonstration. Okay, so let me just figure out what's happened here.
Tactile view
Okay.
dash left bracket dolphin.
So it says the current design is too big to be fully exported. The maximum export size is 1 pay. So this is because my embosser setups are different. So that's why I mentioned it's really important to make sure, but it has actually inserted it into my
The Duxbury
graphic
Braille
here.
translator dash left.
So in the
Menu
moment I can
bar, file, the
translate,
file menu, translate, leaving menus, workspace.
and that has translated the actual graphic. So that will emboss exactly as it appears. So you could have a document that you've got in Duxbury, and then you want to insert your tactile graphic. You could certainly do that alongside TactileView. So TactileView is one of the fewer softwares that allow you to insert graphics into Duxbury. Okay, so we've gone through the inserting of tactile graphics. I'll just touch base on one of the new features, which is the Braille after ink. So as we go back into TactileView.
TactileView dash left bracket, TactileView 3 right bracket.
Okay, so the icon Braille after ink printed mode is available on the top horizontal toolbar, or again, you can go into design through the menu bar and you can enable it this way. So as I select this,
Braille
you're going to have a
after ink
similar
printing
option.
mode, ...
You're going to have a new dialog, and again, it gives you the option to enable or disable. So it's a checkbox, very much like the Monarch mode. So if you want to enable Braille after ink printer mode, you'll check it. Upon checking it, what you'll need to do for the very first time is calibrate your embosser. So there is a Braille after ink calibration tool, which is a walkthrough. So this will walk you through various different steps. I think there's 7 steps in total. So it will print something out. So you'll need to print an ink chart out, and then there'll also be a Braille chart that you need to emboss, and it will ask you to kind of match the different numbers to align them correctly. So this will walk you through your calibration wizard. Once you've got that set up, there shouldn't be anything else that you'll need to do other than just hit the OK here at this option. So once you hit OK,
dialog. Tactile
again,
view 3.
Make sure your printer that you've got set. So this is why I've got a
Braille
warning
after
message.
ink printing mode ...
Make sure your Braille embosser is
Braille after ink
is an embosser that is used for cut sheet paper. Because at the moment I'm using the
Romeo 60 ET0021.
Didn't allow me, or it gave me an error message. Dialog. So I'm going to change that to my index Braille.
Print
Everest.
Setup dialog. The paper A4.
Choose
15
A4.
of 20. OK button to activate. Press space. Braille after ink printing mode ... dialog to navigate.
That's it.
Tactile view 3.
So that's really important to do that stage. If you got those wrong, then you're going to get some error messages there. So it's important to make sure that you've selected the right embosser. Otherwise, you will get a warning message. Okay, so next then, if I look at the print and ink options, it will expand my icons. So at the top toolbar, we'll have some more options. We have a print ink version. We have print preview of ink. Then we have print Braille version, and then we also have print preview Braille version. So it just allows you to how this will appear in the ink. So as I click on the print preview ink, that should just
view 3 print
show me the actual ink version of the page or the graphic. Of course, it's covering by multiple pages here, but we need to make
close button to activate. Press space bar Alt+C.
And then there's the print preview of the Braille version if you want to see how that will appear on the Braille itself.
Button to activate. Press space bar Alt.
So again, the main kind of the biggest kind of the hardest part of that is to get the both printer and embosser calibrated. But again, those instructions, there is a guide that's available on the HumanWare site, but it will walk you through what you'll need to do in various different steps to get those to get your ink printer and your Braille embosser calibrated. One last thing I'm going to show is a quick way of inserting pie charts. So we have made some changes. Frequent requests from a lot of users is, oh, how can I make a pie chart? So there's a really quick way of doing this is by adding this, drawing a circle. So let's create, first of all, turn off Braille ink
Braille
mode.
after ink printing mode ... not checked. OK button to activate. Press space bar Alt+O to activate. Press Tactile view 5.
Okay, and I'm going to create a new tab, a new tactile graphic. So again, the option to draw a circle is available from your toolbar, your horizontal or your vertical toolbar on the left, or you can use your drawing
Context
tools
menu, drawing tools
and
menu to
you
navigate.
can
Press up
draw
or down
a
arrow.
circle.
Menu, leaving menu bar. Tactile view 5. Size and position. Circle dialog.
Okay, so if you choose the menu-driven option, this is what will happen. So this shows part of the accessibility options here. So first of all, you can call it whatever you like. You can put it as a layer. So here I'm going to call this pie chart.
C-A-A-T.
And
A.
then you'll be,
A-A-R-T.
as I tab
Position
along,
of the center, distance to left edge, left parent, inch, right parent, colon, edit. 1.
it's now asking you position of the center, the distance to the left edge. How far from that left edge of the center do you want this pie chart to be? Again, you'll have the distance
Position
to the
of the
top
center,
edge.
distance to top edge, left parent, inch. Size and
And then
large
you have the
slash reduce left.
sizes. How large do you want it to be? Do you want it to be stretched, or do you just want to keep the ratio the same width and height? So that's one way of doing it through the accessibility side. Otherwise, if
To
you're
change
using
the
your
selection,
mouse,
tactile view 5.
you can choose your draw circle and just sketch it as large as you wish. And you can resize it by using just grabbing at the very corners, where it will allow you to, again, further increase the size or decrease the size. Once you've created your circle, a couple of ways of adding various different points here, ready points. So you can use your mouse, and as you're using your mouse and get close to the edge, what will happen is you'll be able to find that there is a section that you could start to add. There's like an add button option. So as I move my mouse close to the section, I can hit the button, add radius, or I can add my radius through the add and remove ready option at the top icons.
Add or
Again,
remove
this is
ready dialog. Add
a more of an accessible way. So I can choose
add radius
here,
button to activate. Press
choose
0.
90 degrees.
OK button to activate. Press space.
And hit enter.
Tactile view 5.
Allow me to quickly create a tactile graphic of a pie chart. And of course, I can then add labels. I can then add what that section is identifiable for, or what percentage. You can even put some shadings into this. So if I want to add some shading areas, different shadings, if you've got an embosser that doesn't have various different pin heights, having the options to show different shadings by patterns is just or equally as good. So the option here, when we do this kind of thing with the pie charts, what I would recommend is use the detect shape option, which is the letter H. So as I detect the shape and position the mouse in one of the sections, it will see that section. It will give you the outline of that section. And that's the section that I'm working on. And I can then use my fill style texture. So I can either right click, which will open up my context menu, or I can use my context menu, which is to the left side toolbar, and use fill style texture.
Select the fill style dialog. Text.
I can choose loads of different
textures. Select the fill style dialog. Texture code.
So perhaps I just want this to be maybe dashed
lines offset.sv.
Okay, and we'll just choose OK on that.
Tactile view dash left bracket.
We can then change the pixels, the texture size of that, so we can have loads of different dots.
Texture
or we can have
colon
them more
dash lines
apart.
offset left right slider.
And what's also great is that these different textures could be reused because you can change the angles of them. So I could have maybe a section that is at 216 degrees versus something that's at 10 degrees. And it should be good enough to distinguish the difference between them. But I'm going to keep it at 216 degrees, and I'm going to choose OK.
Tactile view 5.
And then perhaps I want to choose another area where I want to choose the shading to be completely blacked out. Again, the same would apply. If I use my detect shape, I'm going to use my large portion here, detect, and I'm going to choose solid fill.
Select the fill style. Select the fill style dialog. Select the fill style dialog. Tactile.
And OK.
To activate, press space bar. Tactile view 5.
Okay, so again, I'm still working in my line view. So let's check that on the dot view. Let's see how this will appear. So in my dot view, again, I can see that there is going to be two different kind of patterns. One area is filled in completely. The other area is got some dash lines. So it should allow me to easily distinguish parts of my pie chart. So a really quick way of creating pie charts there. You can really get or be dangerous, shall we say, with TactileView. When we look at creating graphs, tables, there's a lot of things that you can do with TactileView. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop for, we got 9 minutes left just for some Q&A, and we can go through some of those questions and answers, and I can, if need be, do a live demonstration of what you'd like to see in TactileView. So I'll stop there. By all means, go through the chat. We've got the Q&A. You want to raise your hand, by all means, raise your hand, and I will allow
chat,
you to
raise
talk.
hand. Gene-Claude
Provo
Zoom webinar,
one.
Share, Alt plus S button.
I'm just going to turn
Input
my
chat
JAWS
text type message here.
off.
Quit JAWS dialog.
And I will go to answer some of the questions. So it's okay. So before we go on to that, we've got from Svetlana, when talking about print and Braille, will it be interlined? In other words, how do you make sure the Braille and print don't overlap? So that's down to the calibration wizard. So when you do the calibration, it will allow you to, it will basically have the print over the top. I mean, you can make those changes, and it's just adjusting those different settings to your preferred settings. So if you don't want it to be completely over the top, you can change those within the calibration wizard. We have a question from Rob Harris. I recently purchased a software end of June 2025. Is there an option to get a new SBC for the upgrade for free? I did reach out to my sales rep in my region, but have not heard anything back. I'm also a Monarch tester, and I'm parent advisory board for APH Family Connect. I remember you, Rob. How you doing, Rob? So if you want to reach out to me, probably, so just send me an email, andrew.flattress@humeware.com, and we can see what we can do. Let's have a look at our attendees with the raised hand. So we have Jean-Claude Proves. I'm going to allow you to talk. Hi, Jean. How are you doing? Just unmute yourself.
Oh, I think you'll hear me this time.
I do. Hi, Jean-Claude. How are you doing?
All right. Hi there. I'm fine. I have actually two questions. The first one is you touched upon it, but obviously being completely blind, it was not easy for me to follow. So I was concerned about labeling, and I was wondering if, because obviously, and you described it, that it was an issue, obviously, because the Braille letters are going to take, 3 times the space of the graphics, maybe, or whatever. So is there a scheme by which, for example, and I'm talking about the Monarch, obviously, because in an embosser situation, it wouldn't apply. But on a Monarch, if you had a symbol or something, just a little blurb or perhaps even a vibrating dot or whatever that says this particular spot contains a label. And with this method you guys have with, touching, having one finger on the label and one finger on the, elsewhere on the button there, that's sort of a, that would have the label announced. I'm trying to be clear, and I know I'm having a hard time.
I think I know. I think I
following
know what you
I'm
mean,
trying to
Jean-Claude.
say.
I think what you're trying to say is, so when we look at the Monarch, and because the Monarch has touch capabilities, is there a way to maybe get further information from the image by touch? So touching certain areas. Is that kind of
Yes.
what you mean, Jean-Claude?
Yeah, it is. And it would obviously rid you of the labeling issue altogether, because, by touching a certain area, knowing that it's labelable, and then you would press the key and get the information.
So I love your thinking. This is something we would love to get to. It's something that we are kind of working on, because I do believe, having more context in a tactographic is really important to the user. Adding the labels is great, but is there ways that we can introduce more context? And so with the Monarch having that touch capabilities, is there a way that we could then start adding alt text information? So maybe the design of the tactile graphic could do some alt texting of the pie chart in certain areas. And if you touch that areas, that gives you more information. So Jean-Claude, at the moment, no, it's not possible. Will it be available in the future? I really hope so. It's something that I would love to include.
Yeah, I would certainly obviously make it immensely useful in a map context, right? So
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
way yeah. So okay, and my second question is much easier. Do you guys sometimes need testers, or do you, I don't know, go in round and round and see if perhaps other folks could test it or whatever? Does that happen, or do you have your closed group of testers that you sort of stick with?
We do have testers. I still love to reach out to more testers, certainly in different use cases. So if in particular you're looking at using TactileView with a screen reader, I very much would be interested. I have a few people that are using TactileView with screen readers, but I very much would like to have your input on that if you're a screen reader user. So if you want to reach out to me, Jean-Claude, just ping me an email at andrew.flatrus@humaware.com, and we can discuss that offline and
I shall do
introduce
that,
you.
sir.
Okay. All right. Thanks
All
very
right.
much for calling, Jean-Claude. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay. Next then we do have is Matthew. Hi, Matthew. How you doing?
Hello, Andrew. Yeah, fantastic presentation. I'm not somebody who has a Monarch, unfortunately, so I'm particularly excited actually about the ink print before Braille option. I was
Okay.
working, yeah, I was working with a company actually not that long ago where we did exactly this. We were doing a restaurant menu, and we wanted to include print so the restaurant menu knew what it was, and we wanted to include a nice tactile cover for the Braille readers, and so we did exactly that. We put the paper in the printer first, printed the print, and then put it through through the embosser. Would have been a lot easier if tactile view, could have done that. But anyway, it can now, which is great. I suppose my question is how. Well, two questions. One's a pipe dream, though. Uh, what? How flexible can we be about saying which bit of this diagram is in print and which bit is in Braille? I mean, so we actually did two separate files, one print file and one Braille file, and that allowed us to be really clever about, having a slightly higher resolution print image than Braille image, and we could have print letters and Braille letters. Is all
Yeah.
of this possible, or does it all just have to be one diagram that gets ink printed and brailled?
Okay, so in the option of Braille after ink printing mode, once you've enabled, you'll have some options. The two options that are available are print images in Braille only and text with both Braille and ink. And then there's print everything using Braille and ink. So those are the two options that you have. So if you just want to print the images in Braille only and text with both Braille and ink, you would choose those.
Sure. I suppose that it's something that maybe is more of an enhancement request than a question. I suppose what I was hoping we might be able to do for this particular case, the restaurant wanted its print logo included on its menu, but obviously to include that in Braille would have been quite difficult because it's quite an intricate design. And so what we really wanted to do was put the proper print logo on and then put a reduced sort of very primitive line drawing on. And so what we'd really want to be able to do is have a separate image in print versus Braille,
Oh, right. Okay.
but not
Well, yes,
but
you
not
can.
have them overlap, or like
Yes,
have them
that
overlap tastefully.
well, that's something that you can customize. So you can first of all print the ink version first, and then you can make the changes to the tactile version of it, and then print the Braille. So
Yes.
you can do that. That's not a problem. It's just a matter of um, printing the ink first and then making the change. If that makes sense.
Yes, but then the tactile artist would have to do that in real time. So that the
Yes.
hope would be that in a future version we could send a single BPX file to a post prod person who doesn't know really about tactile images but knows how to run embossers and printers, and just say, look, here's one file, pop this through your printer and then pop it through the embosser, and it will do everything you need it to do. But anyway,
Yes. Yeah.
it's an exciting development anyway, and yeah, maybe giving you some food for thought for a future
Yeah, no,
version.
that's a good point. That's a very good point,
Um,
Matthew. So thanks very much for that.
the other one that I'll throw in really quickly, although I can understand why you haven't done it, is it'd be really nice if you could swap the order around. I don't know how many printers would actually cope with it, which is why I'm sort of hesitant to suggest it. But thinking about people who've only got tractor-fed embossers, if you had a mode where it could do the Braille first and then run it through the printer, if you had a printer that could cope with that, that would be a workaround for tractor-fed embossers.
Yes, that would be interesting. I guess. The problem is the tractor feed isn't, which you can remove, but of course then if you did that first, you would be able to put that into the printer. I mean,
Yes,
some printers
that's
do that, I was told. I don't know what particular printer, but there are printers that would allow you to, or you should be okay to send the tractor feed paper through. It could work, but I wouldn't risk it because it could kind of lock up in the wheels
yes,
probably. But
exactly. It would jam the. It would. You'd have to have a very capable printer to be able to do it. It would just be an interesting
yeah,
thing to play with. Um,
no, for sure.
again, down the line. But no, thank you. It's a really exciting update, and I think this feature has quite a lot of potential for commercial transcription jobs like this.
Great. Thanks for tuning in, Matthew.
No worries. Cheers.